To me, he is the most Major League ready player and the best talent of anyone I've spoken of for 2019. He's hitting .402 at Round Rock, .869 slugging percentage, on-base percentage of .490. That puts his OPS at 1.360, okay? It's out of sight. What a season he's had so far. He homered on Sunday. He now has 15 home runs on the year. The only block to him getting to the major leagues is he's not on the 40-man roster. What does that mean? That means Houston would have to take someone off the 40-man roster, and I got a suggestion, Tyler White. Just, be done with Tyler White. Okay, he helped you out some. He's just not the player that Jordan Alvarez is. Alvarez has been playing some first base. He's been playing some outfield. He's someone you can move around the diamond. Most of all, he can hit. He can rake. And can you just imagine another raking bat in that Astro lineup? Wow. And so I think Alvarez is also someone up this month. I'd like to think him up this week, but I think he's up before May is out. He's just earned it. There's nothing left when you're hitting .402 and you've already hit 15 home runs, which leads all minor league baseball. There's nothing left for Jordan Alvarez to prove. So call him up. Come on, Houston. Get with the program. Let's get him up. Now, there's a few more rookies I want to talk about. I don't think these are imminent calls, but certainly someone to be looking at probably, if not in May, in June. Luis Urias for San Diego. He's hitting .355, 10 home runs at AAA El Paso. He got a call earlier in the year to San Diego, did not play well. They sent him back down. He's killing AAA pitching. He's 21 years old. He's one of the top offensive prospects in baseball coming into the year, and he's done nothing at AAA but to continue that thought process, okay? The power has been surprising, no doubt about it. But we'll see how long San Diego waits. I'm a little surprised they've given Kinsler the rope that they have. I think you got a situation there with a veteran and a rookie, and so I just think San Diego, they can win this year. They could still make the playoffs this year. I'll look for Luis Urias to get the call back once again. I want to talk about Dylan Cease. I love Dylan Cease for the White Sox, okay? Now, he had not so great an outing his last time out, which was this past Saturday against Louisville. This past Saturday against Louisville, he allowed 3 walks and 5 hits over 3 2/3 innings. And if there's been a Achilles heel for Dylan Cease, it's been walks. He's 23 years old, but I've watched him play in person. He has swing and miss stuff. He's as good as any pitcher you'll hear talked about in the minor leagues. He really is. If he can just continue to throw strikes. Now, the White Sox haven't called him up yet. I'm looking at what they did with Kopech last year. And if I'm not mistaken, they called Kopech up around the middle of June. And I could see the same progression and same pattern for Dylan Cease. I think he's going to get to the point where in the next couple of starts, he's probably, at the point where he's mastered what he can at AAA. I can see the White Sox calling him up. And the White Sox aren't out of that thing. That's the thing. I read the standings to you. Giolito's pitching great. You add a Dylan Cease to that lineup, and all of a sudden the White Sox, they could be players this year in that division. We'll wait and see. But I love Dylan Cease. And one more player that I'm looking at, he's been up a couple of times already, Tuki Toussaint for Atlanta. His numbers are ugly, but his upside is huge. If he could ever put it together and harness that ability, the Braves could use that power arm in their lineup. Great stuff. In fact, you've got Soroka, you've got all these guys pitching in Atlanta. Tuki Toussaint's stuff is as good as any of them. It really is. The problem is he's inconsistent. He's not had command of his strike zone. If he could ever get that while he's at Gwinnett, look out. Tuki Toussaint is a player that you'll want to have. So that's my rookie watch for today. And, I'm not saying go get all these guys. I tell you what, though, I've got some teams where I'm already stashing Jordan Alvarez. I'm already stashing Brendan Rodgers because I think the call time is closer than you think, really. So if you got roster space, go get them. I now want to talk about some guys who are not rookies, who are playing really well, who may be on waiver wires, who may be available to be traded for, and you might want to give them a look. And I first want to start talking about the catcher position. You know, catcher is a position that it's very thin, wouldn't you say? I mean, you get a good catcher, you want to hold on to him. Well, I'm going to proffer two to you this afternoon for your consideration. And again, they may both be not available, but I'm looking at Yahoo leagues and ESPN leagues, and both of these guys are under 50% owned. Robinson Chirinos. I talked about Robinson Chirinos prior to drafts. I even convinced my partner, Phil Chappie, who you're going to hear from at 7 o'clock, I convinced Chappie ought to draft Chirinos. He was worthy of Chappiness, right? Well, is there a better everyday catcher in fantasy leagues? You know, he has 6 homers. He scored 20 runs. He's got 20 RBIs. He's hitting .278. So he's in the top 10 with any catcher you can throw at me. His bat has been picking up steam of late. It really has. He has 3 home runs and a .389 average over his last 7 games. Okay, look at Houston's schedule this week. They're on the road visiting Detroit, and then they go to Henner-friendly Fenway Park in Boston. Wow, Chirinos is a great play this week. So if you're on a team where Posey, concussed, Zunino for Tampa went out on the IL, give me some Chirinos. I mean, in fact, I tell you, if I'm a Real Muto owner and I can trade Real Muto for a really good pitcher and pick up Chirinos as a free agent, I may do it. It may strengthen my overall team. So, and oh man, I'm just getting so excited. I'm losing my thought here, but here's my thought. Is there a better offense in Major League Baseball than Houston? And is he going to be in a better lineup, any catcher? I mean, you talk about Real Muto in Philadelphia, sure. Great lineup. But Real Muto's a big part of that lineup. Chirinos, he's the throw-in. They're not looking at Chirinos as the main dude on this team. Okay? So Chirinos is probably going to get pitches to hit. And here of late, hitting .389 over the last 7 games with 3 home runs, he's been doing it. So in that lineup, Mr. Potent Houston Astro lineup, give me some Robinson Chirinos. Also, for the White Sox, and I'm a big White Sox fan today for some reason. I'm really not a White Sox fan, but I love their offense. James McCann, what an offseason signing that was. I mean, that is becoming a steal of a deal. Over his last 14 games, he's hitting .446 with a .714 slug. His OPS is 1.189. The White Sox have said by his performance, by what they're doing, he's hitting 4th or 5th in the lineup every day. His .382 batting average on the year leads all catchers. Now, he's not going to hit .382 on the year. And people talk about probable regression. Well, McCann's going to have some so-called regression. But I know this. I know right now there's not a hotter hitting catcher in Major League Baseball than James McCann for the White Sox. Okay? Look at some of the underlying factors here. His contact hard hit rate. Career-wise, 34.2%. In 2019, it's up to 46.3%. That's a 12.1% increase in hard hit rate. 46.3%, folks. So I think McCann is worth owning until you see some decline in his game. And we know this, the White Sox are giving him the opportunity to pile up these statistics, batting in the meat of an order that's a run-scoring offense. So take that hot swing of James McCann as if it were a horse. Ride it hard, okay? He may be one of the biggest waiver wire pickups you may make this year. But there's more. Still they come. How about Jesus Aguilar? The Lazarus effect, right? Given up for dead, and now it seems he's back to life. What's he done over his last, say, 4 games, Arnie? Well, let me tell you. He's 5 for his last 14. Okay? That's over .333. Now, we know he started the year horrendously, right? but he has started at first base the last few games. After opening the season hitting 123 through the first 25 games. I mean, were you cutting Aguilar? I mean, was he not a free agent in a lot of leagues? Okay, but over his last 13 games, he's hitting 369. 369 over his last 13 games. So, I'm big on Aguilar right now. And in that lineup, now they've brought in Hiura. There's going to be some, juice there, baby. Come on. There'll be some juice there, They're going to be ready to roll and ready to hit and ready to score more runs. And Jesus Aguilar is going to be hitting cleanup on that team, and you just got to get him. So if Jesus Aguilar is out there, it's a great time to add him to your team. I tell you another player I really like. Ademus Diaz for Houston. Ademus Diaz for Houston is going to be the second baseman while Jose Altuve is on the shelf with a hamstring injury. And we don't really know, do we, how long Jose Altuve will be out. What we do know is over the last 3 games, since he's been starting at second base, Diaz is 5 for 13 with 2 home runs, and check this out, 7 runs batted in. Remember him back in 2016 as a rookie when he had 18 home runs and 452 plate appearances, and he was just on fire? He did pretty well last year for the Blue Jays, but now he's in that Houston lineup, and just like I talked about with Chirinos a few moments ago, Ademus Diaz is a must-own as long as he's playing. Also, for fantasy purposes, he's multi-positional eligible. So although he may be playing second base in Houston, you can plug him in at second base or third base or first base in some leagues. What a privilege to have a player like that. Wow. Got to get him. Charlie Tilson. You ever heard of Charlie Tilson before, like 2 weeks ago? Charlie Tilson's with the White Sox. I'm on the White Sox and Houston bandwagon today, right? He has 9 hits and 3 steals in 8 games. And his average is incredible right now. His speed is real. So, he may be somebody you don't want to add long-term, but if you need a pickup in weekly or daily, Charlie Tilson may well be a player to add. How about Wilmer Flores? I like him a lot, don't you? In May, Wilmer Flores has gone 14 for 38 with 3 doubles and a homer in 11 games. He's now upped his average to 282. Now in April, at the end of April, he was batting 241. So since May began in 11 games, he's upped his average 41 points in 11 games. A 312 on-base average, and he's got a 9.5% strikeout rate. Wow. So now, we'd love to have more power from him, sure. But the numbers he's putting up right now with first base, second base, third base eligibility make him a fantasy darling and someone that I'm very interested in having if he's available and you have an infield, middle, or corner need. Steve Cishek for Chicago. I mean, the bullpen for the Cubs, is it just not like the walking wounded? I mean, the Cub bullpen should be on the Yankee team, right? I mean, can you imagine? You had Pedro Strop, who's the closer. Now he's got a hamstring injury. There's no timetable for Strop's return. There's no guarantee Brandon Morrow pitches at all this year. And so that 9th inning is open, and there really isn't a closer, and up steps Steve Cishek. He got the save on Sunday, and he may quickly earn Joe Maddon's confidence with the Cubs. He's got a 2.84 ERA. He strikes out 9.95 per 9, and those numbers are in line with his career averages. So Cishek is, I think, a better option than Jackson for Atlanta. And I think he's probably going to take that closer's role, and Chicago's winning games like crazy right now. So there are saves to be had. Go get him. How about Hunter Pence? Wow, let's hear it for Hunter Pence. I mean, 35 years old and a lifelong San Francisco Giant. and couldn't hit a lick last year, right? I mean, the Giants gave up on him.